So here we go. We're going to recreate the Untrue Zoo in LiveCode. The Untrue Zoo was originally a HyperCard stack, and what I'm going to do is show you how, using LiveCode, we can duplicate that stack in the newest version of LiveCode. So I'm using the latest version 8.1.2, which was released at the end of December from LiveCode, and what I'm going to do is show you how to create that stack. So a couple of things with LiveCode. Along the top here we have the toolbar, and this is the default setting where it's going to show the icons and the text for the icons. This can be changed if you go up to the view menu. By changing these two options right here, you can customize this to show either just icons or just text or nothing at all. On the left side, very much like some of the older HyperCard and SuperCard and MetaCard, there's a tool palette, and LiveCode has quite a few tools. We're not going to focus on our tutorial very much with this part of the toolbar, which is actually the housing what are called widgets. We're going to spend most of our time down here with the traditional tools that you would see in HyperCard and drawing tools that you would see when we create the Untrue Zoo. So let's get going. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to close the Start Center. This is the default stack that LiveCode shows you when it first opens up. If you don't want this to show at startup, you can uncheck this right here, and this will no longer show when you launch LiveCode. For right now, I'm just going to close this stack up. Now what we want to do is go to the File menu and say New Stack, and you will notice that LiveCode is able to build applications for phones, iPads, as well as desktops. And what we're going to do is we're going to create just a default stack, a blank stack with a default size. So select the default size from the new stack option, and LiveCode creates a stack for us. Now we can resize this stack by grabbing the corner, the lower right hand corner of the window, and we can make this stack any size that we want. We also can use the property inspector, and we can actually open that up, and I'm just going to slide this off to the side here so that we can see the stack and the property inspector at the same time. And you can see that I have a stack called Untitled 1, and there's various tabs along the top here that allows us to change different properties. Very similar to HyperCard, although you will see that there's a lot more options with LiveCode than there was in HyperCard. We can actually set the size of the stack by clicking on this icon right here. The first option is resizable, which basically allows us to, and for users as well, to basically drag the corner and resize it. We actually don't want people to do that, so we're going to uncheck that. And let's make our stack 800 by 600 pixels. And you'll see now that the stack resizes to that, to those numbers that we put in. The next thing we're going to do is we want to give our stack a name. So let's go back to the home icon, and we're just going to type over Untitled and call it the Untrue Zoo, and then hit Tab, and you'll see now that the name has changed and the window name has changed as well. This is all well and good, but let's go ahead and also do one more thing. We want to give our stack a color for the background. So if you click on the pencil here, you see a little pop-up that says Colors. We can set a background fill pattern by clicking this icon right here. And I'm on a Mac, so this is a standard color selector palette for Macintosh. And you can go through here and you can set any color that you want. And what we're going to do is I'll just make this a banana color. So there we go, just a fun color for the background of the stack. Now all of the cards in the stack will assume this color, but we can actually change individual cards in basically the same manner that we did for the stack, but this sets a default color for the stack across all of the work that we're going to be doing. Okay, so now we have our first card on our stack, the Untrue Zoo, and what we want to do is actually title this. So let's go over to our Tools palette, and we're going to grab a control, which is a label field, and we're going to drag it out into the Untrue Zoo. Now you have these handles here. You can resize this, and let's just kind of set this up. Actually, a nice little trick, if you make this text field the complete width of the stack, right now it's set for right justified, as you can see, but we'll center this in a second. If you double click this, you actually are taken to the property inspector for this field, you can see its name, label field, some of the properties of this field. If we click this icon right here, it will show the contents, which we can see is label colon, which is what we see right here. Let's change this to the Untrue Zoo. And I click out of this, and the name is now set. It doesn't look very good. It's still right justified, so we need to fix this up. So let's go to the A icon, which is the text icon. This allows us to set the text properties. So first, let's make this centered, because that's really bothering me. We'll also make it bold. We can pick any font that is installed in our system by selecting the font pop-up. And let's just make it a very traditional Arial. Arial, there we go. And we're going to make it much bigger. So let's try 48. And tab. Now I have to make my field a little bit bigger by grabbing this handle. Perfect. But we don't want black text, we actually want to color this. So we already did coloring, if you remember. You click the little pencil icon and now we have the color. So we want to change the fill color of our text. So we click the first icon and we get the same palette that we had before. And let's make it cayenne. No, that's not red enough. Let's find another red in here. There we go. That's nice and red. So let's add some more information to our title screen. So we're going to drag out another label field here. We're just going to set it right there. We'll resize it. We're going to click on the contents for this label field. Create it by the Benson family and Phil Shapiro. Copyright 1996. Freeware. Click out of there. Now we go back to our text. Let's center that again. We'll make it, no, let's say 28 for the text size. Now you can see what it's doing here is it's actually not wrapping. We'll address that in just a second. We again also want to make this Arial for our font. We'll make it bold. Now let's go back to our basic settings, and right here it says don't wrap. We actually want to uncheck that, and you'll see now that it wraps the text. Well, now we need to make our text field a little bit longer. And we can do the same trick where if we make this label field the same width as the stack, it will automatically center this if we wanted to do that. If we wanted to replicate the original, we could just squeeze this down until it's like that. Oh, we also want to set our color. So we go back to the color, text fill, we pick that same nice bright red color, and let's just trim this up a little bit, and we'll move this down. And now it's starting to look like our title screen. Okay, now that we have our basic title screen, what we want to do is now create our main menu. This is going to be the next card in the stack, and it's basically going to list all of the different animals that we'll be able to select in our Untrue Zoo to get more information about. So let's go up to the object menu and select new card. You can see you can also use the keyboard equivalent to do that, but I'm going to select it from the menu, and we're given a new blank card. So we have our second card, as you can see by the number that's indicated here. This is card number 2. There's no content on here yet, and this is going to be our main menu. So let's drag out another label. We'll put that right there. I'll resize this. We'll shut the don't wrap off. We'll go to our content, and we'll type in the world of animals is endlessly fascinating. To learn more about them, click on their name. And we'll colorize this. We'll make it the red color again, the same as we were using on the other text. And we'll click on the text property. Let's make this 28, bold, left justified, and we'll use Arial again. And let's resize this so you can see all of the text. There we go. Okay, now that we have our start of our main menu screen, let's go back to our title screen, and we're going to create a link from the title screen to this screen. Now there's a couple ways that you can do this. If you go up to the view menu, you can see there's some navigation options here. Go first, go previous, go next, go last, go recent. Well, let's go to the first card in our stack, and that's our title card. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put a button on the screen right here, and when we click the button, we're going to tell it to go to card number 2. So let's come over here to our palette or tool palette, and we're just going to grab a standard button out, and we'll drag that out onto the screen, and we'll put it down here in the lower right hand corner. Now let's go to our property inspector and click the home, and you can see some of the properties of this button. And what we actually want to do is we want to make this button transparent. We don't want to show the name. We do want it to be auto highlighted though. And what we're going to do is we're going to assign an icon to it that is a right arrow. If you click the icon tab, which looks like a little picture, we can assign an icon to this. So if you click right here, you'll get a list of all of the icons that you can assign to this. So if we go to, let's see, MetaCard. No, this is a great icon. We'll use that one right there. And now you can see our button has taken on that icon. Now that we have our button on the screen, we need to tell it what to do. And that you do that by editing the script. And there's a couple different ways you can do it. The most common way that I use is to click the button and then hit Command E, which if you go up here to the object menu, you can see it's object script. So we'll select that, and that brings up the script of this object. Now this is a button, so it's already pre-filled in on mouse up, and what we want to do is go next card, and we will apply that, and we'll close our script up. Now in LiveCode, one of the things that we haven't done yet that you'll need to do is we've been working in the editing mode. In the tools palette, if you click this icon right here, you go into the browse mode, which actually will run your stack now, and that will allow us to actually interact with it. So now if we click this button, it goes to our main menu. Now if we want to go back to the title screen, there's a couple ways you can do it. If you go back to the view, you can go back to first. We may actually want to at some point put a button on this screen that will take us back there, but the original Untrue Zoo didn't have that, so we'll leave that off for right now. You can also hit Command 1 or Control 1 depending on what computer platform you're using, and that will take you to the first card in the stack, as you can see by this number here. So that's another way that we can get back to the main menu screen that you'll see every time this stack is launched. Okay, so let's go back to our main menu. Now we don't have any animals here yet, so what we're going to do is we're going to create our first animal. And the way we're going to do this is each animal is going to get its own separate card. And we'll put the information about the animal on that card. So if we go up to the object menu, do new card. Now we have another blank card here, and you can see this is card number 3 now. Well, what we want to do is we're actually going to name this card for the animal that it's going to represent. So if we go back to the object menu and select Card Inspector, you'll see that the Property Inspector window now takes on a slightly different look. Now we're looking at the details for this particular card, including its name. Now the first animal that we're going to look at is going to be a rhino, so we'll just name this card Rhino. And that's actually all that we need to do with this, so I'm going to close this window up right now. Let's drag out another label field. We'll stick that on the card right there. We'll make it a little bit bigger so we can see the text. Over in our Property Inspector, click on the Contents tab, select the label, and then type in the text. To save time, I've got the text in the clipboard. Now let's set the text style. So we'll click the text button. We'll make it bold, left justified. We'll make the size 28, and we'll use our same font that we've been using. And obviously we want to shut the do not wrap off, so it does wrap. And we're going to just make this sized properly. And of course we have to set the text color. There, that looks better. Now I'm going to navigate back to our main menu screen. So I'm going to go to the previous card, which will be our main menu screen. Now there's a lot of different ways that we can link from our menu to the card that we just created. What I'm going to do is create a button by dragging out from the tool palette a new button. And in the property inspector, I'm going to give the button a name. I'm going to call it Rhinos. And instead of having rectangular, I want to make it transparent. And what you'll see there is the actual graphic of the button disappears and we're left with just the name. Now if I format the text of that the same way that we've been doing all along, I'll make the text that red color. And then we'll go to the font. We'll make it bold, 28. And then I've got to resize this so that it fits a little bit nicer in there. And there we go. We've got our name for our menu, which is actually a button. So if I select the button, go back to the object menu and do object script, we'll get the script for the button, button Rhinos. And we want to go card, go to card, Rhino. And then we'll apply that, get a green light, which means all is good. And we'll close this up, we'll go into run mode, and we'll click that, and there we go. We now have just went from our main menu to our Rhinos card. So let's go back to the main menu. So we'll go previous, and we actually, to help ourselves out, if we name this card menu, we can then create a button on our animal cards that will just basically say go to card menu, and it will take us back here. So let's go to object script card inspector, and we'll name this card menu. Alright, so let's close this up, drag out a button for our go back. I'm going to go to object inspector. We're going to make this a transparent button. We do not want to show the name. We're going to assign an icon to it. So we'll click the icon tab and then the icon. And we'll go to our MetaCard icons. And we'll use this icon right here. Now that looks good. So we'll resize this. And then we'll go to the object menu, edit the script, go to card menu. Apply that, get a green light, which means all is good. Close it up, go back to run mode, click our button, and there we go. Now we can link from Rhinos and back. So now all that's left to do is to fill out our Untrue Zoo with all the other animals that we have in our Untrue Zoo using the exact same methods. So I will do one more, and then I'll just put it on fast forward as I build out the rest of the stack. Now to make our lives a little bit easier, we're going to copy and paste some things. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy Rhinos. And we're actually going to duplicate the object. Move it over here. And we're going to name it kittens. Perfect. But we need another card. So let's go to our object menu, new card, and then we'll go back to our object menu, card inspector, and we're going to name it kittens, and then we'll close that up. Now let's go to our main menu card, so view, previous, and to save ourselves some work, let's go back to our rhinos card, and then we'll go into our edit mode, and we're going to click on this, and I'm going to hold down the shift key and click on the button, and then I'm going to go to the edit menu, and we're going to copy objects. Now let me show you something that's really important before we move on to creating our next animal. I have these two objects selected. When I copy them, and I'm just going to do this on this card so that you can see it, when I paste them anywhere within my project, all of the attributes of those objects have been retained. So you can see our text is still the red and the larger size, and we can even see the button that we created has maintained the icon, and in fact it's even maintained the script that we've written for that button. Now let's navigate to our kitten screen, which I believe will be before this one. And there it is, it's blank. We're going to paste these objects in that we just copied, but obviously we need to change this text because we are now on the kitten screen. But we do have our objects here already pre-formatted and everything's, all the scripts are there and everything is all set for us to go, so we don't have to do anything except change this text. Select this text, edit menu, paste unformatted. Now I need to resize this just so the text looks a little bit better. Alright, let's go to run mode. We'll click on our main menu button. Let's edit this script. And we don't want to go to card rhino, we want to go to card kittens. So we type in kittens, and then we apply that. Now if we go back into run mode and click kittens, there we go. We are now in the kittens. If we click back to the main menu, we can click on rhinos, and then go back to the main menu and click on kittens. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to fill out for all the other animals that are going to be in our Untrue Zoo the exact same process we just did, and I'm going to put the video on fast motion as I do this. Okay, there we have it, the Untrue Zoo. Now let's clean up some things. Let's take our main menu here and make it look a little bit nicer. Let's go back into the edit mode. We'll select these first buttons here, and we're going to go in, and with all of these buttons we're going to make them left justified for the text. And then what I want to do is I actually want to line up these buttons so that they're all starting from the same position. And you can see right here one of the options is align controls, and this is fairly standard. Looking for alignment tools, we're just going to click on the left. Now here's another thing that I really like with LiveCode. You can actually distribute these objects so that they are all equally spaced, and we're going to do from first to last selected. And if you watch, they'll move around a little bit, but now they're all evenly spaced. Now let's take these other buttons here, make them left justified, and what we want to do is we want to align them to their left sides. So we'll go back to the alignment area and we'll say align left, and let's just move them out a little bit. But now what we want to do is we want the rows to be lined up. So if we click this one, and then I'm going to hold down the shift key and click the second one, we're going to go back into the alignment and we're going to hit the align objects middle, and you'll see that kittens now has moved up to be in line with rhinos. And I'm just going to repeat that for each one of these. And it looks like I got an extra lines in here, so I'm actually going to delete this. Since I made that mistake, it's very easy to fix. There, that looks better. Now we're going to go and redo these. Again, I'm just holding down, clicking the first one, holding down the shift key, and then I'm just aligning the centers. And there we go. Doesn't look like ostriches is lined up, but it is. There, that looks much better. In fact, let's do one more thing. Let's select all of those and just move them over just a little bit. There. Now obviously we click each one of these, as you saw as I quickly went through the video, it will take you to the animal that's in our Untrue Zoo and tell you a little bit about that animal. So that's how you create the Untrue Zoo in LiveCode. Thanks for watching.